my friends, welcome to another day in the Foods Lab. Today we are going to be focusing on ways that we can take and lower the fat intake that we are eating as we go throughout our lives. We have a lot of things that we add fat to, and so usually getting fat into our diet is not an issue. The biggest issue that we usually have is we get too much fat. So we're looking for ways to reduce the fat intake. And I thought it might be kind of fun to look at cooking technique as a way of taking and adjusting our fat intake. And I'm looking in particular at the classic American favorite, French fries. French fries are usually deep fat fried, which means that they're putting in a lot of oil, hot oil, fry, gives them a nice crisp edge, gives them a delicious taste, the salt sticks to them, and we're all happy and wonderful. We're gonna change that up, and instead of deep fat frying, the classic, we're gonna try using spices and baking with also a little bit of nonstick spray to help crisp up the edges. So previous to this demonstration, I've gone ahead and assembled all of my ingredients. I've even measured my spices all here in this little container. I have washed my hands, I've read through the recipe, and I've preheated my oven to 450 degrees. That's a super hot oven, so you're gonna wanna make sure that you give probably a good 15 minutes for that oven to get up to that temperature. I want the rack in the oven to be in the center, not up, not down, but right in the center as close as it can be to the middle. I have also gone ahead and I have done step number 2, which is scrub the potatoes. We're gonna be leaving the skin on the potato. You're gonna say, what? Don't be frightened. That skin is full of good nutrients, in particular fiber. So we're gonna leave it on there. And I've taken a vegetable scrub brush. You might use the scratchy side of a sponge, or you can even use a washcloth. And underneath cold running water, I want you to take and scrub. You can maybe even see that mine's still a little bit wet here. Scrub that all nice and clean under the running water. And after you're done, just rinse this off real good and return it back to me. Then the next step, especially for students here at school, is probably the most important, and that is to take and cut your French fries lengthwise out of your potato, and you need them to be very thin. If you make them thick, you won't have enough time to bake them all the way through, and they're not gonna be tasting very good if you cut them too thick. But if you cut them too thin, they're gonna stick to your cookie sheet and you won't get them off. So what is 3/8 of an inch? 3/8 of an inch is probably the thickness of your pinky at the very, very tip. It's skinny-ish, but not super skinny. When you go to cut this, make sure that your knife is sharp. You know how to sharpen a knife? Make sure that you're holding your knife correctly, and then do the right slices. I'm going to claw, and I'm going to slice that down about that 3/8 of an inch. I don't know if you can even tell that. Compare that to that tip part of your pinky. And then I'm going to do something smart. Instead of continuing slicing them like this, I'm going to roll this onto that sliced edge to make it so it's not roly-poly. And again, I'm just going to slice these into 1/4 inch slices. I'm keeping them fairly thin, not super thin, fairly thin. When I get to the part where I'm going to feel a little anxious, then you remember, you move your fingers out of the way. Keep them out. If you need to move it, you go ahead and move it. Now that we've got those into those 3/4 inch slices, I'm going to go ahead and slice them into French fry shape. Again, I'm keeping these fairly thin. And I'm going to do that with not only this potato right here, but I'm also going to do it with my second potato. Now, it might be that your potatoes are very small. In some cases, I might give you more. But especially students here at school, time is not your friend on this. So you've got to hustle through this just as fast as you possibly can. Maybe I'd suggest even getting 2 cutting boards out and having 2 people cut. I'd see that bad spot. I don't want it. Don't serve people bad parts of your food. I know it sometimes happens, but a professional cook's always going to take that into consideration. Okay, again, one more time. The first cut I'm doing is along this side. Then I'm going to use the flat side that I just sliced to make it so my potato is not roly-poly. I'm going to have my French fries the length of the potato, not the width of it. I don't want short, chunky ones. I want to have long, thin ones. So again, I'm going to cut these into thinnish pieces, long and skinny. And if I get them too thick, you're going to be eating raw potatoes here at school. All right, so after we've gone ahead and we've cut these into long, skinny pieces, I got some bad spots again, I'm just gonna chop them off. After I cut these into these long, skinny 3/8 inch pieces that are kind of thin, then I'm gonna go ahead and prep them onto my pan. Now, if I go to bake these, just plain put them on my cookie sheet, I'm actually gonna find that they're not that great. So I need to add a little bit of fat. Sometimes you might find a nice way to do this is to take and put a little bit of oil on here and just kind of massage it in. We're going to be using our nonstick spray. So step number 4 is to spray the cookie sheet with nonstick spray. A lot of times I'll put foil on my cookie sheet when I'm not wanting to wash this very good, but my experience with the French fries is that if you use foil, sometimes the foil tears as it sticks onto your French fry and it's no good. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this. Oh, I've got a weird sprayer. Get it so that it's got a nice coating on it. Then it says that you're going to put your potato strips on that cookie sheet and you want to have them on a single layer. You don't want to have, I got a bad spot. You don't want to have them doubled up. They don't have to be lined up beautifully, but you do need to have them all laying flat. After you have them spread out nice and on one thin layer, then you're gonna take and you're gonna spray this a second time. That's gonna help the spices adhere, as well as it's going to help make it crisp up and blister, which we want to see have happening. I've mixed all of my seasonings. This is kind of a fun thing to do. Check out some of the different seasonings that are available. Some of my favorites, this one is a classic favorite of mine, and I like this combination. Lots of different things that you can add in. Just plain seasoned salt is kind of cool too. I'm trying to get this onto my French fries, and I'm only going to be putting on about half of it. As you're going to notice on your instructions, you're going to bake halfway, and then you're going to flip these over and do the other half. Now, don't worry about being perfect in every way with this. Not going to happen, and it's just going to be fine. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put them in my oven. Half of my seasoning is still here. I'm going to bake them for 8 minutes, which is half the time. Then I'm going to pull them out, flip them over, and bake them another half of a time. Okay? That's the first part. All right, see ya.